And look at Randy Orton slithering.
Watch out, watch out, watch out, watch out! KO! Here's the cover.
Hey, what's up everyone? I'm back here today with another video. A very short one here today as we're going to take a look at my third Mark of Excellence game for the LHMTV, the Tier 8 British Light Tank. Not going to do a really overall review of this tank. I already kind of did that in a previous video a while back. But the short and sweet of this tank is good camo, good penetration, terrible DPM, made of paper mache, powered by a goat cart engine, and is probably the worst Tier 8 light tank. So that's the short and sweet version. And its mortal enemy, as you will see in a few seconds, is actually vegetation. As, yeah, you basically hit anything in this tank and it just grinds to a halt because it has absolutely no horsepower whatsoever powering this little goat cart around. Yeah. So, and yeah, here we go. I hit a bush and, man, that houseplant was tough. Nearly destroyed my tank. But this is definitely a tank that definitely relies on its camo to really excel and kind of be in that spotting role as we spot one of their light tanks very up close and personal. That was a 1357 that we don't really want to mess with because he will just annihilate us even though he's a tier below. Yeah, we just kind of want to stick away from him as best we can. And you can see they have a good amount of tanks pushing that way already. It's Sunset Coast, so there are a lot of bushes on this map, but there's not a lot of good corridors for sight lines at all, just because of the added rocks and other stuff that's on this fun variant of this map. It means very limited opportunities for actual scouting and getting assisted damage. So instead, we're going to have to kind of be a damage dealer with our 230 Alpha on this tank, and very, very, very poor DPM. As you can see, this VK is just trembling right now as we put our second shot into his rear as he's distracted. You don't want to really be brawling in this tank. It's kind of obvious by my description of it. It gets bullied very, very easily, even by other scouts. And now the VK is finally starting to pay attention, but now you have a new contender with the Pershing who pulls up, and they're just ignoring us, and this is perfect. This is what you want in this tank if you're having to be forced into a damage dealing role, as we track the Pershing in place, also hitting his fuel tanks. I'm going to be trying to go for a tracking shot slash the fuel tanks again. Unfortunately, we do get the tracking shot, and his repair speed is really, really bad. But generally, you don't want to be brawling frontline like this against anything, because you will just get manhandled. Simply put, this thing, just to give you a perspective, we all know the Vanguard ELC Even 90 is very tiny, very small tank. This thing actually weighs 2 tons less than that, if you can believe that. Very, very, very tiny tank here, which has some positives, but you just need the maps for it to work. You need vision maps, like Steps, Westfield, Proc, Mali, those type of maps to really make this tank fit well into his role. And maps like this, not so much. And right now, there's a lot of maps that are kind of like this, if I'm honest. So 3-marking this thing was I don't want to say a pain. It took me, I think it was 89 games to 3-mark it. It could have been less. Had a run of some bad teams, like everybody does. That kind of increased the time from probably about 80 games to about 89. So, as we're finally able to push out of that position we've been in the entire game so far. And I think the requirements for this tank in terms of 3-marking it are about, I want to say around 2,500 just to maintain. That's a rough estimate. You can always look that up on some websites that are out there for 3-marking. Or if you're in a Discord server that has the MOE bots, there's a few of them. I know ours has it with me, Swindle Petty, and a multitude of others. I will link that Discord channel again. But I know we have a bot that you can kind of get an idea based on other websites that it will pull from what is required for 3 MOEs. It's a rough estimate because it can kind of fluctuate, but it gives you a good idea of what you need to do every game. And my rough estimate for this is about 2,500 to maintain. It may actually push it up, to be fair. It may be less than that, because let's be real, not many people play this thing or even play it well. And right now, we're just floating around the map, trying to get as much damage as we can, because that's the only way we're going to be able to do this. I think I was at like 94.6 when this happened, this game. So even right now, I'm pretty confident that I probably 3-marked it now at 3,300 damage. We've only got 2,200 or 200 assisted. So again, it's kind of obvious. Something you may have noticed at the beginning of this game is my ammo loadout, which is kind of rare, to be fair. I'm actually carrying more APCR than the AP rounds on this thing. And that's not because the AP rounds are bad on this. They're not. They're actually really, really good. 226 millimeters a pen, I believe. And the APCR has 258, I think, based off another website I'm looking at. So really, that's really, really good actually for a tier 8 light tank penetration wise, because most tier 8 lights on their base AP pen only have around 170 to 180 ish, mid 180s. That's usually the kind of par for the course on those tanks. So I guess kind of the reasoning behind that is the very limited DPM means you can only fire so many shots so quickly, especially in tier 10 games. I like to have more ammo for this tank in particular that I know has better penetration and stuff. And I'm more guaranteed to, when I do fire, I am going to pen. I don't usually run those type of loadouts, but with a tank like this, as we miss our actually first shot of the game there by hitting the dead tank of not instead of the Stereo Mill, it just makes it so when I do shoot more of the time, I have more opportunities with more pen, I guess, to dish out the damage. It's not a huge change, discrepancy from what I usually run, but it is kind of worth noting, I guess. And I think the other British light tanks are kind of similar in that fashion. I think the G-Sword I run like 2018 too. I actually carry HE on that thing. Don't run HE on this. I just don't care for it. As you see, we backed up 4,800 damage this game. And the real noteworthy thing is fired 24 shots, 23 hit, 23 pen, and the only one that missed hit that dead tank. So really making that gun work and excel in that type of matchmaking. And so yeah, just good way to end the 3-mark grind on this. Still the worst tier 8 light tank in my opinion, but we're done with it now. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed, and I will catch you next time. See you. Peace.